This is Robert Martellacci, the Mindshare Learning Report, Canada's Learning and Technology e-magazine. And welcome to this special edition this week in the CanAm EdTech Mindshare Unboxing TV podcast featuring Jolene Levin, the CEO of NorvaNivelUS, a leading global innovative school furniture design company, on emerging trends and design thinking coming out of the EdSpaces conference this past week or so in Portland, Oregon. And the theme around it was designing the future of education. Jolene, thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having me. I love joining you.
Well, it's not your first rodeo, and we're so pleased to have you back. You are the co-founder of NorvaNivel, a leading designer, manufacturer, and supplier of school furniture. Tell us about a little bit about the company and its inspiration, and then we can jump into reflecting on the recent EdSpaces conference.
Awesome. Thank you. So my husband and I started our company 12 years ago in Australia. Our ultimate superpower was that we were not in educational furniture, and really started to respond to schools that 12 years ago globally were really trying to progress their learning space to facilitate a future-focused pedagogy. And so we fell into that, started to create products for progressive learning environments, and have just been very plugged into the research and impact that these have on learners, and the cross section, as we were talking about, between furniture, technology, space, and evolving teaching practices as well.
Fascinating. So coming out of COVID, there must have been a real pent-up desire for the industry and education folks and architects to come together to really reimagine, what the classroom of the future looks like. And you're at the forefront of it.
So, it's interesting, and I think COVID was the impetus for a lot of different things. Firstly, I think it showed the education community that people can change and change quickly, as teachers and learners had to pivot to a different way of learning. I think we understood that kids can and sometimes do learn better in different kinds of settings. And so we can't ignore that now that they've come back to the classroom environment. And the other big thing is this idea of social and emotional wellness and well-being inside
Absolutely.
a learning environment and inside a school building. And that has really impacted the way we look at design now as we, look towards the future of education. There has been significant funding that has come into the space to change learning environments. And I think designing it through the lens of understanding humans and evolving teaching practice is really where we need to be.
Absolutely. And from what I've seen in the past, you've been on our show in the past, and the design thinking of your furniture, the colors, not unlike our co-working innovation center here in the Mindshare workspace, is very inspirational. It's very intentional, and it contributes to the well-being of students and teachers for that matter. We're becoming so much more sophisticated post COVID, especially in doing what really evidence-based research, right?
Yep.
That really is driving innovation, and that was the theme of our summit recently in Montreal, is looking at what works.
Yep.
And kudos to you for your involvement. You're part of the association, I understand, as well. Talk to me a little bit about what emerged on that front from the industry folks side of the equation and leadership.
Yep. So, some great things have emerged from it. Firstly, I think we're seeing educational furniture and product that goes into educational spaces differently. So we've moved away from just putting desks and chairs where kids have somewhere to sit, to understanding the impact of putting different kind of furniture inside learning environments. And that comes from a lot of research that's been done sort of over the last 10 years, and how space really matters in that process. And then the other key part of it is, as we understand we're now in a massive change moment, we know that there is some professional development and planning that needs to happen before we do our spaces for our educators and our school districts and communities in order to prepare them for the fact that it's not just changing a learning environment. When you change a learning environment, you change your practice inside that space. And that takes planning.
Yeah, easier said than done.
Mm,
It took smart technologies 20 years to be an overnight success. Was the common phrase around their success, and uh, no doubt the pandemic has been an accelerator to change, and with the infusion of the generous funding as well. But you are on a mission, and you are traveling to really share the story about the future of learning and the importance of design thinking.
Well, ultimately, where are our learners going after they leave school? They're going to places like yours, Robert. And so when I look in the background and I see the environment that you've created there, which, and you, even in the banking system in Australia or any industry you work into, we're not working in the environments that we're teaching in currently. And so if we're going to prepare these kids really and truly, then it needs to be reflective of where they're landing at the end of the day. And so I think that, everybody kind of recognizes and sees that school is really about future preparedness. And so we've got to know what's happening in the world out there and bring it into our school buildings if we're going to say we're doing this properly.
Brilliant. And speaking of preparedness, our one of the outcomes of our summit was to put together a post EdTech summit EdTech preparedness playbook for the next crisis. And so, very much on the same page in that regard, because you need to think about deeply about what the research says, what worked,
Yep.
and where you're going, and to mitigate the crisis that occurred and the challenges that many districts faced in the past, where they had no plan. There was literally no plan if the power went out,
Uh-huh.
where the how the kids are, how to sustain learning, and really it's that agility that you need today that really will take you into the future. And kudos to you for your passion in embracing that growth mindset. And you have kids of your own as well that that
That's why it
helps you.
means, yeah, so
It
much.
means doubly much,
Yep.
right? Having kids in the system, and for all kids for that matter. But you are very much in tune. You got your little test market there. You
Yeah.
no doubt throw them onto the furniture and test how durable it is, and
Well,
whether it works.
yeah. I mean, to that, I was having a conversation, Robert, today, and I was saying to architects that me as a parent, it's not really the academic outcomes that I'm looking for my kids as part of their education. It's everything they're going to, get from it. It's about learning to learn so that they leave school being perpetual learners. It doesn't just end when you finish 12th grade. We need to develop
Right.
that, what you say, growth mindset, learning to learn, those transversal and transferable skills that they can master, because we don't know where these kids are going at the end of the day. So teaching them something specific anymore is, you as a tech person would understand the world of technology changes hourly. And this is the world that my 6-year-old's going to go into.
Yeah. So talk to me about what drives your innovation within the company. You're very much your husband is a studied design, and so has the pedigree of someone who really gets it. And many startups that I meet and have an idea, and they don't necessarily have the right skills to execute, and particularly around the pedagogy, right? So you are very well rounded as a team, from what I could see, and in your strategy uh, for growth. What drives? How do you decide what's next? I mean,
Well,
there's
that's
so
an
many.
easy question to answer,
Okay,
because we don't design products, we design solutions. And
okay,
And our market often informs us on the most pressing solutions that need to be designed. So I'm not a product designer, but I work with a lot of schools, and I hear a
Right.
lot of constraints and a lot of problems that we need to solve, to help them inside their classrooms. And so my MO is, when I come back to Avron and say, he will always say to me, don't tell me to design a product. I don't want to know about a table. I don't want to know
What's
about a
the
chair.
problem?
What is the problem that we're trying to solve? And from there, we're going to come up with a solution. And I think that when you
Brilliant.
fine with that mindset, and you're not pigeon, like, it's not like, are we going to release 10 chairs this year? It's around, what are the problems that we really need to solve this year? And this is why, when we do solve that product, we see the impact differently to just putting furniture in a space.
Well said. Well, that was part of the inspiration of this space, was solving the problem for people to live, work, play in their own backyard. And the pandemic has been an accelerator where we're seeing people come in daily because they're not going downtown every day. So where suburban co-working has come of age. And so, timing's everything, isn't it?
Yeah, it is everything. And I can tell you, 12 years ago, when we started to do this, there wasn't as much acceptance in the community for progressive
Right.
learning environments as there is now. So, when you're pushing an innovation, I love what you said about SMART. It was a 20-year overnight success. I feel like for us, we've been around
Yes.
doing this for a long time, and most people have not been comfortable with it. But now that we've got the evidence-based
Right.
research into the market, it's starting to make a lot more sense to people.
Well, with that, Jolene, Levin, thank you so much for your time
Thank
this
you.
afternoon out of your busy travel schedule.
Thank you. No, I appreciate you having me on, as always, and love talking to you.
My pleasure. That was Jolene Levin, the co-founder of NorvaNivel, a leading designer, manufacturer, and supplier, and problem solver in the education space. My name is Robert Merdlacci of the Mindshare Learning Report. Be sure to check out www.mindshare Learning to get your latest issue. And until next time, stay healthy, stay safe, and keep the learning curve steep.